Now you know that military ministry opportunities abound, and you understand there's nothing to fear that some honest listening skills can't address. Perhaps you're asking similar questions to these folks.
How can I help, and what would be the best support for them?
You know, what would make it more comfortable for people to come, what kind of setting it needs to be in, how long does it take for somebody to kind of be willing to walk over the threshold and come to a group like that.
What can my friends and I do when none of us have been in the military? We don't have experience of anything like that.
I'm a mom with 3 kids. What can I do?
You know, as a believer, I know that love is the answer, but I struggle with how can I make it practical and real and relevant to help these vets coming back.
How much time will this take? Which of course would be an unknown, probably as much time as I have to give. But I suppose that's a hesitation too.
Anything I could offer is a listening ear and maybe friendship, because I'm not really sure what else to offer them.
So let's take a look at what people did for our group of military experts. Give us an example of how someone from your church or your community came around you and helped you as members of the military community.
Our church equipped, us and my family. I don't know if I was equipped. They knew what was coming, but I didn't know because I was just coming in and say, I'm home and I'm ready to take over again. And I realized, ooh, this ain't working as well as I thought. And it was because of my life group, because of my pastors, because of those 2 guys that helped me walk in my faith. If we have a soldier deploying and the spouse and the family is left behind, I tell them that we are here for your wife and your children, and we will help them go through this experience that they're going through. Go forth and do your mission. And I had that same thing. And so whenever my wife would have to hang something on the wall and she would tell me, hey, our neighbors just came over and hung these pictures on the wall, something very simple, I knew they were taken care of because they had my back. Other families just had their back. And it's just an act of kindness, of stepping forward and say, hey, we want to take care of you because you're right next to us and we want to make sure. I mean, our lawn was cut every week because a retired chaplain knew what we were experiencing, so he didn't ask for anything, but he cut our huge yard every week. And I look back today and said, that is incredible, because I don't know if I would have cut our yard for that, for that long period of time.
Being able to share with my own community, my own friends about just my whole anxiety about Ryan deploying and just getting to a place where I could talk about it, be comfortable with even him going.
After struggling for several years with a lot of the really dark places of PTSD, we went up for prayer at church one afternoon after service and met a couple that prayed over us, and they proceeded to take our information down and called us the next day right away, and we began about a 6-month journey with them where they mentored us, talked with us, took us under their wing, and just really loved on us and allowed us to start the spiritual healing part of our walk that was missing. So that was incredible.
Did they have any experience at doing that before that?
No experience whatsoever with...
Were they military people?
They were not military people.
They were just willing? They
were just willing to pray with us, listen, care for us, love on us, read the Bible to us, and just be there when we needed them.
We were invited to come for an Easter service, and the church that we attended had a military liaison specifically, and he made a point to introduce himself, and shortly after our meeting, he wanted to have lunch together, and he took me out to lunch, and then I incurred more difficulties. I lost my soldiers who were deployed and I was not there, and I had to attend the funeral services, and I had to begin to endure a completely new battle. And he just kind of was there. he walked alongside of me. He showed up for the funeral services that were local at the base, and this military liaison, he just, him and his wife welcomed my family into his house for just meals, and just in practical, loving ways just showed that there was somebody there who cared and supported through very difficult times. And it was just that simple expression that made me want to be connected to a church, a body of believers, and that was pivotal in the recovery process.
Afterwards, when his PTSD was pretty flying high and it was making life very difficult for me, I had a good friend come and we started meeting every week and praying together, and that really helped a lot, just to spend the time with her and just be able to be away from the house and the situation. So it was a true blessing.
Individuals from my adult group, men's group, did one-on-one peer counseling, and that helps you because you talk about any and everything, you lay everything on the table, so to speak, and it's you know, it's a free fire zone, if you will, and so you're able to exchange ideas and say, you know, am I on base here? Am I off base here? Am I going in the right direction? And you get good, concise, and honest feedback, and that helps you. That helps me because that's what I need. That gives me a basis to go forward.
The amazing and wonderful thing is that Ryan had someone to talk with and just spend like a year and a half just working through his story and the things that he saw and the things that he was experiencing, and he had a safe place. So for me, that was so wonderful to know that I wasn't the one that had to do that, or I wasn't able to, and I wasn't equipped to do that for my son. I would be praying for him and having my own understanding what was going on, but that there was already someone that was walking him through this whole process of what he had seen. And so one person that is willing to spend time with a veteran can make the biggest difference in their lives. I want to do that same thing.
Yeah, it was a huge blessing. Andy, in talking with you, your experience was a little bit different, it sounded like, than the one that we had. Can you describe your experience for us?
My parents' church sort of adopted me, and I would get letters saying that we're praying for you, be safe. Then I came home and started having issues of simple things, not being able to sleep, nightmares, not feeling safe. I assumed that going to the church would be the best place to go, and unfortunately, it was almost like they'd see me coming and they'd shut the door, close the blinds, and turn off the light. That's how I felt. I mean, I was really having a crisis of spirituality.
But as you started with Ranella, for example, you were talking about that part of the journey being the sort of the change for you.
Ranella's consistent and persistent presence in my life, I was able to start seeing that there are people that do care, that aren't in the military, have no connection to the military at all. She just wanted to hear my story, and she was genuine about it. But she wasn't afraid of me, and she just kept coming. Yeah. She kept showing up, and that was key.
So for you, her faithfulness in journeying with you, that was the practical thing that made a difference for you.
Yeah, God has put the right people in my life at the right time. I'm involved in a group called Rally Point, which we're going through the Combat Trauma Healing Manual, and that's where I recharge, and that's where I can have the tough conversations with people that get it. You know, I can say I'm really struggling, and then without getting the platitudes and the pat answers, I get to finish my statement and have someone go, yeah, I get that. And it's a comfort. And not just that an individual can understand, but because of our shared experience or similar experience in a combat situation, but our experience in redefining ourselves as a Christian, as a believer, not being afraid to ask the hard questions and struggle through the answers together. We have each other's back.
That's good.
So it took, let's see, I've been home almost 10 years, so it's taken a long time, but it's been a journey. Let's just call it that.
Just wondering, can anybody give examples of how people have connected with chaplains, helped them to do their job, connected with them in different ways?
I've recognized is the need for personal time for themselves so they can re-energize, re-engage, and build and regain just what's needed to be the best chaplain they possibly can. And so I've seen within the Joint Base Lewis McChord having individual retreats set aside for them that just actually blew me away about how the community pulled together and pretty much spoiled them in a way that allowed them to set aside their being around commands, but taking their families and just enjoy a retreat setting that just really blessed their socks off.
The chaplain at the reserve unit that is, the unit is about an hour away from where we live, and just to have that opportunity to support the chaplain, and also the chaplain was an avenue for us to be able to let the military know that we cared about them and that we wanted to be there for them and that we wanted to pray for them and let them know that we cared, and we did want to hear and what they had to say and what their struggles were. And one of the things that we were able to do is to go and assist the chaplain in leading the worship service and on their drill weekend, and to have communion and then to pray for them. And so that was one of the ways that we were able to be a part of sharing that message of hope and care. There's a community that loves you, and we did that through the chaplain.
It's been a great experience.
And so somebody who wants to minister to the military doesn't necessarily have to have that experience. They don't even have to have a psychology degree. They just have to be a loving, compassionate person that's willing just to be there and meet your basic needs wherever they're at. If it's fixing a fence for a spouse, or bringing over a hot meal for a busy mom, taking the kids so that you can go out on a date night. Whatever those basic needs are, being a human that cares and is compassionate is all you need to be.
Well, Josh is a great answer to the question. I'm reminded that when Jesus commissioned the disciples, he told them to go forth and make disciples. And what you just described is the privilege that all of us have had, being discipled by others, and in some cases discipling others and working with them. And so while we've done that in the military community, there's this tremendous opportunity out there for all of us to continue to disciple and be discipled by others. And you're evidence of exactly how that works and how it can work. So that's a great answer. You're probably asking, what can I do? Well, what are you already doing as a servant of Christ? How is your local church already uniquely serving the community? Those skills, gifts, talents, facilities, and ministries you're already exercising are probably what God is asking you to use for and with the military in your midst. With prayer and thoughtful consideration, you'll discover how your current ministries can expand or adapt to address the unique needs of our military. You can start where you are, use what you have, and do what you can. We've also learned a number of best practices from churches already involved in these ministries. These are available on the website. There are 3 things you can start doing now. First is fervent and intentional prayer. Prayer is the foundation of the ministry. It is, in fact, the ministry. Everything else flows from what you learn in communion with God. Pray before you start anything. Pray for God to provide the workers you'll need and to show you where to connect with military people. Pray that He will show you their needs and how you can meet them, all before you ever do anything to actually serve them. Allow God to go ahead of you and prepare the way. When you have to have events, have prayer teams during events. Pray for and with the military people you meet. Second, host special events honoring veterans, military and their families. Veterans Day parades, Independence Day barbecues, and picnics honoring military families with events for the children. Have a place at these events where you can connect with those who come. Third, as you start building relationships, encourage these men and women to join a small group. Resources like the Combat Trauma Healing Manual and When War Comes Home not only address the issues they're facing, but consistently bring Christ into the conversation. Small groups using resources like Loving Your Military Man and Making Your Marriage Deployment Ready will build Christ-centered foundations for military marriages. We're here to help you do what God is calling you to do. You can do it. Let's take 5 one more time. Pause the video and reflect on or discuss how the ministries you're already doing can be used specifically for military men and women and their families.